So we're in the Christmas spirit here. I got my Tennessee Poopers Santa hat. I'm surprised they even have the funding to give these things out because they can't find the funding to actually buy real players. But without that, did Coca-Cola create Santa Claus? Yes, they did. It's the short answer to it. And I'm going to explain to you how they did. So Santa Claus was not uniformly red and white until Coca-Cola came around, especially back in the day in the UK and Britain. He was seen in green almost all the time. Now, if we go to Coca-Cola's website and we ask them ourselves, did they create Santa Claus? They will say no. They will say yes. When we started advertising using Santa Claus, we made him red and white. But there was a author named Thomas Nast who drew Santa Claus in the Civil War. And he was red. Now, what they also won't tell you is that Thomas Nast also drew Santa Claus as green. So they're kind of using here, Santa Claus used to be green before Coca-Cola started mass producing, capitalism, advertisements and stuff like that to make Santa Claus red. The person that they said that they drew all of their, source credit from, drew Santa Claus not only in red, but he also drew him in green. So they're just, taking obviously their corporate colors there, to, say, oh yeah, we're drawing from that. And even they could only cite one, Thomas Nast, they only cite one, art piece by him because just it was not common for Santa Claus to be depicted in red and white. Before the Coca-Cola time, it was made more common to see him in tan or green clothing. Besides the fact, if we go to Coca-Cola's website, they said they did not create Santa Claus for the corporate funding. What they did create was their own reputation that fitted their corporate brandings, and they simply drew inspiration from a poem called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Very popular poem. And they said that they drew this. They drew everything that they have sent in their advertisements. They drew everything from "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." I by no means am a literary expert. Half the time I don't even know if I can read myself. But I went ahead and checked out "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" just one more time in case my memory was faulty. But if we read through Santa's description in "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," there is nothing that says Santa Claus is red besides his cheeks and his nose. All it says is that he has fur clothing on, but it says nothing about the color of his clothing. So when you go to the website, obviously Coca-Cola feels the need to put something on their website that said, no, we did not create Santa Claus. But both of their reasonings to how they didn't, Thomas Nast, Thomas Nast did draw Santa Claus red, but he also drew him in green as well, very proven. And then "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem, they drew inspiration from that. They did not create anything on their own, did not make anything up. Well, that is just completely false too, because "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" does not have anything about Santa Claus being red. So what did Coca-Cola do? Well, there was no uniform Santa Claus description, before the 1920s, before the 1950s, before Coca-Cola really started taking off. So what did Coca-Cola do? They hired an artist in the 1920s before there was a uniform picture of the Santa Claus, and they hired him. They told him, hey, paint them our corporate colors, red and white. And what do you know? Santa Claus is red and white, and the majority of the advertisements you see Santa Claus on, and the majority of the first advertisement that you see Santa Claus on, are Coca-Cola advertisements. And of course, he used to be green, he used to be all kinds of colors, but Coca-Cola, they started putting out advertisements, capitalism, started going around the world and stuff like that, and it just, he just kind of fit into being red and white because that's where you see him on. You see him on the bottle of Coca-Cola, 1920s. I think Coca-Cola is pretty much, the start of capitalism and capitalist advertising. So that's what they did. Of course, this is just nothing new. Brazil would later go on to even try to revert back to a green Santa Claus. So it's not like people just, can just, Not saying like he was always one color. People try to, flip him back to other colors and stuff like that. So with that being said, did Coca-Cola create the Santa Claus? I think they 100% did. They feel the need on their website to say, we did not create Santa Claus. They provide two quote-unquote evidence for them not creating Santa Claus. Thomas Nast, who also, he did draw Santa Claus as red in the 1830s, 1840s, but he also drew him as green as well, so you can't just draw from that. And then 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, just utterly not defensible at all, because 'Twas the Night Before Christmas has nothing about Santa Claus wearing red clothing. And with that being said, it's just Coca-Cola. It's just capitalist advertisement. They saw a ploy, they saw an opening, and they took it. How about we make a mascot to make red and white, to make our, advertising adventures, maybe more profitable? And that's what they did. And it's become one of the most widely regarded fictional characters of all kind. I'm not saying he's fictional or anything, I'm a true believer myself. But with that being said, stay safe, stay hydrated, and have yourself a merry little Christmas.